وما في داعي طيارات وشكبانات ومواعيد وقصة.
YouTube video shows a man the U.S. government calls an al-Qaeda recruiter. He threatens a biological attack on the U.S. via the U.S.-Mexican border.
4 أرطال من الأنثراكس، 4 أرطال، جنطة هالكبرها، يشيلها واحد فدائي ويدخلها من أنفاق مكسيكو إلى الولايات المتحدة، كفيلة بقتل 330 ألف أمريكي.
Intelligence officials confirmed the speaker in this Al Jazeera video released last year is Abdallah al-Nafisi, a Kuwaiti dissident who's considered an intellectual firebrand for the jihadist movement.
Well, it's a big concern to all of us. Everybody in law enforcement, everybody in the intelligence community. Because if a terrorist, a potential terrorist, can get into this country illegally, that is going to be a prime way for them to do it, through our borders.
A report by the House Committee on Homeland Security says there are hundreds of illegal aliens apprehended entering the United States each year from countries known to support terrorism, and that members of Hezbollah have already entered the U.S. across the southwest border. How real is this threat, and how big of a problem could this become?
I think it's fair to say where there's smoke, there's fire.
Frank Dowse is a former officer for the Defense Intelligence Agency. He says there's evidence terrorist groups are trying to use underground networks to smuggle people or weapons of mass destruction across the border, and immigrants are providing an ideal cover for them.
It is so porous. We see all the time tens of thousands of Mexican migrants and immigrants are infiltrating across. And then, of course, we also have the coyotes who are smuggling people across through criminal routes and supply routes, and then the drug routes and the drug cartels. So if they can't get in there by themselves, they can make a deal with the cartels. Terrorists have been using criminal activity for their own financing and for their own supplies.
Since 9/11, there have been at least 5 known cases where border security was breached by suspected jihad terrorists. Mahmoud Youssef Kourani was indicted in Michigan for providing material support to Hezbollah. He reportedly paid a Mexican guy to help him cross the California border. Federal reports say tens of thousands of illegals arrested along the 2,000-mile border aren't even from Mexico. Border protection officials call them other than Mexicans, or OTMs. Of the 47,000 OTMs that were detained at the border last year, more than 4,000 were caught coming through California. Another federal study found that hundreds of them came from so-called special interest countries, or nations with links to terrorism. Would you say that that concern has grown since 9/11?
Yes, the threat absolutely has grown since 9/11.
Intelligence experts say this is how suspected jihadists are getting across. Travel visas are obtained illegally to enter South and Central America. Individuals then make their way north, learning Spanish along the way before joining other immigrants who sneak across the border.
It's not just the drug trade. It's not just the violence associated with it. It's not just aliens looking to come into the U.S. seeking a better life. You've got this whole terrorist umbrella now that we have to be focused on.
DHS believes the best way to keep terrorists from crossing the U.S.-Mexico border is in a strong task force that includes good intelligence work.
This area is called Colonia Libertad.
Border Patrol agent Jerry Conlon took us along the secondary fence being built to replace the old dilapidated one. So far, they've finished 13 miles of it between the Otay Mesa Mountains and the Pacific Ocean.
We have our secondary fence over here that was started back in 1998. We're on an all-weather road here. We have stadium-style lighting in this area. We have camera towers throughout this area that are monitored 24/7.
And infrared sensors installed to track activity.
The fence overall has been very effective. It's never going to be a be-all, end-all. It has served so far as a great inhibitor.
The main mission of our Border Patrol is the prevention of terrorists and terrorist weapons from entering the United States. We've increased our agency personnel in San Diego by over 1,000 agents in the last 5 years.
Since security was intensified along the California-Mexican border post 9/11, smugglers are finding other ways to cross. Illegal immigrants have been known to come through water drainage tunnels like this one. Now, just so you know, U.S. security officials have found 38 tunnels. All but 2 were discovered after 9/11. Critics say the 13-mile fence is not enough to secure the 2,000-mile stretch. Gaps make the border a sieve.
أنا عبد الله فهد عبد العزيز النفيس.
If we go back to Abdul al-Nafisi, there is the desire to do this. In the counterterrorism arena, you have the 3 Fs. You have find, fix, and finish. We can do all the finding we want, but if we're not willing to fix it or finish it, if we're not willing to do the 2 other Fs of find, fix, and finish, then it doesn't matter how much fence we have.
هناك ما يدعو لتخوف الأمريكان.